Alrighty, 2 more minutes until we begin. It's Tuesday. What makes you happy? What brings you joy first thing in the morning? Coffee brings me joy first thing in the morning. When my makeup doesn't smear, brings me joy. And my water's nice and cold in the morning, that brings me joy. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my book club. We're going to be reading books on here. Get smart. Learn some things, Use your brain. What foods give your body energy? Some foods make me want to go to sleep. And that's okay too. Those are good foods that help me go to sleep. I like those. It's my favorites to go to sleep on. Turkey's a good one to eat at night. That one makes me sleepy for some reason, for reasons. All right. Okay, it's 7 a.m. Let's start our reading. We're reading The Child I Left Behind. Warning, it is graphic. It has strong language. It does have violent scenes in here. So be aware of that. I won't be skipping through those parts. I will be reading them. All right. And we are halfway through this book. We are on chapter 16. Very happy about that because I get to start another book after that. All right. Chapter 16, The Child I Left Behind. As I rushed to pack all my things, I knew this was going to break my mother's heart and any trust she had in me. But I also knew I didn't want to fight and argue over Charlie. I loved him so much and just felt like I was doing what was best for me and Leah. He seemed different, more mature, and I wanted to give it another chance. I knew if I didn't, I'd regret it for the rest of my life. Charlie and I rushed and packed up our things on the trailer he rented. I also knew this seemed crazy. I recognized that I had been doing the very same secretive and frantic packing just months earlier when I left Charlie. Like I had so many other times in my life when we had to move so often. When things went our way with our finances, we were trying to survive or escape Percy. But I pushed all of that out of my mind. He seemed so happy, knowing I was coming back, and that made me feel important. I had a lot of mixed emotions. I had been free to be myself for the past 6 months. I was independent and had my own money. I had nice clothes and felt good about myself. I had grown up a lot. I hoped Charlie did too, and that things would be better this time. I definitely had some doubts, but the love and hope I felt was much stronger. Every time I carried a box and my eyes met Charlie's, he smiled at me and my heart melted. It felt good to feel his love and attention the way I felt when we first met. It was like a whole new beginning, and I was excited. At first, things were amazing. Charlie showered me with his love and attention, but I wasn't the same girl as I was before I left him. I had grown up, was independent and self reliant. Charlie didn't like the new me at all. Over the next weeks, he became more and more jealous and paranoid. He hated the fact that I had my own car and I wasn't completely dependent on him for everything. Every time I went to work, he questioned every minute I was away. He accused me of cheating on him and started verbally and mentally abusing me again. He'd hide my keys to keep me from going to work. We began fighting again, and I started walking on eggshells in fear. Within the first month, all the promises he made were broken, and he was meaner and cruder than he was ever been. One day, while we were staying at his mom's, and she and Mitch were away, we got into a huge fight over me wanting to go to the store, and Charlie hit me again. I reminded him, and he promised he would never hit me again. He began taunting and making fun of me. I told him, "That's it, I'm leaving." I began packing up my things. I went into the bathroom to get some items, and when I turned around, he was coming through the door with Mitch's double barrel shotgun. He backed me into a corner between the wall and the toilet, and I knew at that moment he was going to kill me. Oh my God, I screamed, a blood curdling scream. Leah was right beside me, and I grabbed her and pulled her in my arms to shield her. "Please don't hurt me. Please," I screamed and braced for him to shoot me. I begged for my life. "Please, Charlie, I promise if you put that gun away, I won't leave." He just stared at me for a while, for what seemed to be like forever. "Do you promise?" "Yes, I promise. Yes, please." He shouted, "You're a whore, and I know you want to go to that store so you can call John. One dick isn't enough for you, is it?" "Charlie, stop, please. You're scaring me and the baby. You know I love you." Leah began to cry, and I pulled her in closer to my chest. "You are never going to fucking leave me again. Do you hear me?" "Yes, I hear you, Charlie. I hear you. I'm not going to leave you. I love you too much. I'm never going to leave you. Get it through your head. You hear me?" "Yes, I'm sorry. I was just upset. I hear you. Please put that gun away. Please." I continued to beg for my life, and he finally put the gun down and he ran to me and began kissing me and hugging me. "I love you so much, Angel. You know how much I love you. I just can't live without you, and I can't let you ever leave me again." I wish I could have said what I was feeling in that moment. "You're a motherfucker, and you are never going to ever make me feel this low, vulnerable, scared, or deflated ever again. You fucking little motherfucker. I do not deserve this, you piece of shit. You little pathetic man. No one will ever fucking hurt me like this. Fucking bad. Ever, ever, ever a fucking again." I was enraged, but I was not safe to express it at the time. Yet I knew with every fiber in me I was never going to be in this situation ever again in my entire life. I knew instantly I had made the worst mistake of my life coming back to this asshole. Whatever love I had for him died in that very moment, but I knew I couldn't leave. I felt like a prisoner in a cage, but this time it was worse. He had never tried to kill me before. This was new territory. My mind was shattered, and I was in shock. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I needed a cigarette. I hugged Charlie and kissed him. "I love you. Thank you for not hurting me." I said so he would feel assured and I could get away from him. I need a cigarette. I pulled away from him and took Leah into the living room and got her some toys to play with. I turned on the cartoons. "Sit down here and play, sweetie. Mommy loves you. Let me get you a snack. You have been such a very good girl." I pulled a cigarette from my purse and went into the kitchen, got Leah some pretzels and took them to her, and went back to the kitchen and sat down at the table and smoked. My hands were still shaking and my nerves were shattered. I don't know how, but I have to leave. How will I ever get away from him? Why in the hell did I ever come back? Why did I trust him again? I am so stupid. What kind of fool am I? I took in the smoke of a cigarette and felt some relief. I knew I couldn't leave, not today at least, but I had to leave. I just didn't know when or how. I was terrified for my life and was so angry at myself for ever coming back. What in the hell was I thinking? I knew in my heart I was leaving at the first opportunity I could get. But when you are poor and have few options, you have to weigh all of this in your mind carefully, navigating, leaving. Often, you have to be manipulative to stay safe. I was hyper vigilant about surviving. I had learned a lot about this surviving Percy and watching my mom put up with his shit. For now, I was stuck, but I began plotting my escape again. The week before, Charlie and I had rented an upper flat and we were getting ready to move in. But after this happened, I didn't want to move into the new place with him. I want to leave, but I knew I couldn't. It wasn't safe. In the few weeks that followed, things were better, as they often were after his outburst. We moved out of his mom's house and got settled into the new place. It was like that. Charlie would be awful and beat the shit out of me, verbally and mentally abuse me, and have me so shaken and scared I would become submissive. I was strong, very strong, and I had been strong through a lot before I met Charlie. But I was vulnerable, and he knew how to break me down. He didn't like the fighter in me. It pissed him off, and he would challenge me and he would work hard to break me down. I was emotionally hurt and needed to feel love so desperately, and he knew it, and he knew how to manipulate me. He'd apologize and tell me how much he loved me and how sorry he was for hitting me or hurting me. And then, for no reason, something, a little thing would happen. The door slammed, the dishes weren't clean, dinner wasn't made, or it wasn't what he wanted, and he would explode and go on a tirade. It was like having a war zone and never knowing when you were going to step on a landmine. It was awful being stuck somewhere you didn't want to be, living in fear and not knowing if or when you were ever going to get out or if you were going to survive. It was pure hell. It helped that it wasn't bad all the time, but the uncertainty of not knowing when things could explode kept me on edge, and I was nervous. I was a nervous wreck for most of the time. It was hard to concentrate or focus on anything. When I got back with Charlie, I stopped going to school because he didn't want me to go. That was another mistake I made. I had a lot of support at school. Diane, the principal, had a huge advocate for the students. If I knew if I could get away from Charlie and get to the school, they would help me. I had already burned the bridges with mom, so I didn't have a lot of options. One night, Charlie came in and started on me again, accusing me of being out with someone else. We got in another huge fight over this jealousy, and he hit me in the nose. Blood was everywhere, and I was crying. We fought for an hour, and as usual, it eventually died down, and things were calm when he went into the bathroom. I immediately saw this as an opportunity. I didn't even think. I just grabbed my keys and Leia and ran out the door and down the steps, jumped in my car and drove off as fast as I could. My aunt Sissy only lived a mile away, so I drove there. Mom just happened to be there visiting when I walked through the door with blood still smeared across my face. What in the world happened, Angel? They both gathered around me. Get in here and sit down, Aunt Sissy instructed. I told them everything that had happened over the past several weeks, including the incident with the gun, and they listened in shock. I told you, Angel. Mom, stop it. I know, I'm stupid. I made a huge mistake going back. He promised things would be different. I'm sorry. I just don't want to hear it. It doesn't help. I know, honey. I'm sorry. You need to get right with the police. You need to go to the police right now and have him arrested. That is the only way you're going to get out of this situation or get this to stop. Oh, you're right. I never thought of that. Do you think it's the right thing to do? Fear came over me. Yes, it is the right thing to do. You go right now, and we will take care of Leah. Thank you so much. I got into the car with blood still on my face and hands. I felt hope as I drove to the police station. This is my way out. They will arrest him, and I can go back while he's in jail and get my things. Yes, this will work. I assured myself. I parked my car feeling nervous and went inside. I waited 15 minutes until a police officer became available. I sat and tried to clear my head. I lit one cigarette after another, smoking to try to calm my nerves. I worried about Charlie and would what do I worried about what Charlie would do if I had him arrested. Would this make things worse? No. This would scare him and he wouldn't leave me alone. I don't know where I will go, but I will sleep in my car if I have to. I can't go back there. This is the right thing to do. I felt sure. A tall white officer came out and called me back into his office. All right, ma'am, give me your name, the address of where your alleged event occurred, and the name of the alleged assailant, and tell me what happened. I started crying as I told him what happened that evening, as I told him about Charlie putting a shotgun on me at his mom's house several weeks before. I told him I was scared to leave, but after the fight tonight, I was afraid he was going to really hurt me. The officer listened. Then he looked at me and cocked his head sideways and said, It sounds like you've left, but you keep coming back. Well, yes, I did leave and I did come back, but he promised. Yeah, ma'am, he interrupted me. We hear this all the time. There isn't anything we can do for you here. We know how this goes. We'll arrest him and you'll be in here a few hours bailing him out. No, sir, no, I promise. I promise. I have to get away from him. He's going to hurt me. Ma'am, we see this every day. You are going to have to work it out. There's nothing we can do for you. I've heard that before. But, you heard me, ma'am, he insisted. He made me feel like a piece of white trash. I took a deep breath in, gathered my purse, and walked out of the police station feeling defeated. I drove back to Aunt Sissy's house feeling hopeless. I had no idea what I was going to do now. I didn't think about that when I ran out and left Charlie. I just left. I pulled up in front of Aunt Sissy's house and went inside and told them what the police wouldn't help me. What? Are you kidding me? My aunt and mom both said in their own way, in surprise. No, I'm not kidding. Aunt Sissy got a warm washcloth and brought it to me to wash my face, wash off the blood. Just I just as I finished wiping my face, there was a bang on the door. I looked up and it was Charlie. I began to shake. He found me. Aunt Sissy answered the door. No, we ain't going to have no trouble here, Charlie. I know. I just need to talk to Angel, please. I don't want to cause any trouble. He sounded so sincere and humble. Aunt Sissy looked at me, and I went to the door and stood with the screen door cracked and talked to him through the door while he stood on the porch. What do you want, Charlie? Come home, Angel. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, Charlie. You promised you wouldn't hit me. I know. You make me so mad. If you wouldn't make me so mad, I wouldn't hit you. You know I didn't mean it. So let's go home and talk about this. It's not my fault, Charlie. I don't want to come home. I don't want to come back to that. I'm afraid that you are going to hurt me. Please, just come on. Let's go home. Leah came over to the door. Daddy, she exclaimed. Come here, baby. She ran to him and he pulled her up into his arms. She smiled and kissed him. She loved her daddy. Come on, Angel, let's go home. No, I'm not going home tonight. He looked at me and stared at me for a minute. Then he turned and ran with Leia in his arms and jumped in his car and took off. I stood there stunned. What the hell just happened? Shit. I turned and looked at my aunt and mom, who were just as stunned as I was. I started crying. I'm sort of I'm so tired of fighting with him. I just hate him. You got to go home, Angel. You need to go back and get Leia. You come back home and act like you love him, and in a couple of days when things settle down and he's gone to work, you pack your things up and leave, Mom instructed. Where am I going to go? I don't know, Angel. You sure have made a mess of things. We will have to figure it out when you get out of there. She and Aunt Sissy built me up and gave me the encouragement to go back. I'm scared to go back. I'm afraid he's going to hurt me. I think if you make him feel loved and make him believe you aren't going to leave him, he won't hurt you, Angel. I don't know, Mom. I don't think I have any other choice. I was scared, but I put the keys in the ignition and headed back to our flat. I pulled up in front of the house and took a deep breath. I had no idea what I was getting ready to return to. My legs were shaking as I walked up the steps. It had been a long day, and it was nearly midnight. Oh my God, I knew you would come back for her. Thank God. He ran to me and pulled me into his arms. Come here. I'm sorry. I know it is hard for you to believe me, but I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, Charlie. I know. You just do everything you can to upset me, and it makes me crazy, Angel. It took everything in me to pretend I was okay, that everything was okay, and that we were going to carry on. I was not okay. I was shattered and a shell of a person. I was 8 weeks earlier when I returned to this relationship, believing things would be better, only to discover they were worse than ever. It took every ounce of energy I could gather to act the part that was needed to get through this until I can get an opportunity to leave for good. And I wondered if I was ever going to be able to leave. I was scared and I felt lost. I remembered what Mom and Aunt Sissy told me. I pulled Charlie close to me. I love you. I know you don't mean to hurt me. Now I will try to do better and not make you mad. I kissed him and pulled him into my chest and held him close so I felt smothered. He had put Leah in bed and the house was quiet. He picked me up and carried me into the bedroom and undressed me, and we had sex. It took everything in me to lie beneath him, but I engaged and played the part. I felt like I was going to throw up before we finished, but I gathered my strength and made it through. I got up and cleaned myself up and went and smoked a cigarette. Are you coming to bed, honey? Yeah, in a minute, Charlie. I just want to smoke. Okay, I love you. I love you too, I said. I knew he was worried and he didn't trust me to not leave, especially after today. I put the cigarette to my mouth and pulled the smoke into my lungs, feeling sick to my stomach over this situation I had put myself back in. I can't do this much longer. Not much longer. I climbed into bed and Charlie put his arm around me. I snuggled up close to make him feel secure and lay awake and wallowed in my thoughts. I felt enraged like a caged lion. I didn't know how I could stand being here for another second. How would I get through another day? He works in the morning. As soon as he leaves, I will pack mine and Leah's clothes and I will leave. I don't know where I will go, but I will figure it out. I felt some relief and hope in things and thoughts. I felt some relief and hope in those thoughts. I was exhausted as I let those thoughts sink in and I drifted off to sleep. Good morning, Charlie. It's time to get up and go to work, I said pleasantly the next morning as I nudged him to wake up. No, I'm not going in today. I am too tired after yesterday. What do you mean you aren't going? We need the money, Charlie. I don't care. I am too tired. I'm not going in. This wasn't like Charlie. He never missed work. Anxiety and impatience came over me. I knew he wasn't staying home to watch me and make sure I didn't leave. My hopes of leaving today began to fade. I didn't have to be at work until 5 p.m., and I had hoped to get out of here and figure things out before I had to be there. We didn't have a phone because we couldn't afford it, so I figured Charlie would have to go call his boss, but he didn't. I didn't want to push him in fear of provoking him. He got up and made his coffee, and I got Leia. Fed her breakfast and played with her on the floor with her toys, and she loved being close to me and loved sitting on my lap. I cuddled her close to me and we got on the couch and watched Sesame Street. She followed along with the characters and repeated the letters and numbers and sang, while I was lost and overwhelmed in my thoughts. Maybe I can tell Charlie I'm going to school today. I have to get out of here. I just don't want to be here another minute. I don't think I can pretend I'm okay when I'm not. I want to leave. I just want to get out of here. How can I leave? He isn't going to let me leave. My mind was racing. I could feel him watching me while he drank his coffee. I sat and pondered and wondered what to do. I was so angry and tired of all this. Nearly 4 years of hell with this man. If he was a normal person, we could talk and agree this wasn't working out and this relationship was toxic and we needed to end it. But he wasn't normal. That approach would never work. The longer I sat there, the angrier I became. The hate feeling trapped, controlled, stuck, miserable, and unhappy. I knew if I upset him, he would hurt me. I felt afraid. I felt angry at myself for coming back and for all the mistakes I had made. I had sat and thought about all I had been through and evaluated why I was in this situation. Why have I stayed? Why did I come back? I thought things would be different. I really did. When you live with the man who beats you, you walk on eggshells trying not to provoke him, doing things to try to please him, never knowing for sure what might set him off. I learned to watch my words and to be careful of my actions. I had to think through things before I did them to make sure I didn't make a mistake, knowing the consequences full well if I did. At first, it's like a game or figuring out a puzzle, and over time, you learn how the pieces fit together. and you try not to get them out of place. It was like a list of things to do. Make sure the house is straight, make dinner, make sure the baby doesn't make too much noise, and of course, don't talk back or get out of line. Do what he says, have sex when he wants, don't act like you enjoy it too much or he'll think you're fucking someone else. Don't have an opinion, don't get too close to the guy looking at you at the pork chops in the meat aisle. Make sure no guys look at you when you're walking with him down the street or the gas station or at the store or, as a matter of fact, anywhere, because of course he'll just know you're fucking them too. And on top of it all, be everything and do everything he wants, and everything will be just fine. I guess that was my problem. I didn't live up to his expectations. As I sat there on the porch holding Leah and watching Sesame Street, I tried to put the puzzle pieces together and understand my life with Charlie. I was still so young and I had never been with anyone else. I had experienced a lot of rejection and felt unloved. I was vulnerable and needy and clung on to Charlie. I think he felt like he owned me, like I was his property. I had been beaten down by most people in my life and wanted so badly to be loved and accepted. In the beginning, he was so attentive and enamored of me. I'd never felt so much love in my life. I didn't think I could live without him, and I became a doormat and did everything I could to please him. Over time, he began to take advantage of my vulnerability and would use his love to manipulate me. He would use his words to beat me down and make me feel worthless. I tried so hard to make Charlie happy. I just couldn't. It didn't matter what I did. I was never good enough. He made me feel bad about my life, my ideas, my dreams, and aspirations. He put me down and ridiculed things I did or the way I did them. I could never win or do anything right. Over time, I began to believe him, and my self esteem was shattered. It was hard for me to see up from where I was. I couldn't understand why he was like this. What is wrong with him that makes him so mean? Did he know when he was a little boy, cute, innocent, and sweet, that he'd grow up to be a monster? Did he know he would need to dominate women and have power and have control over them just to feel important? What happened in those early years that made him feel so insecure and powerless? I wonder if he was scared of me and the only way to keep me caged was to bully me, beat me down, keep me broken, depended on him, and make me think I was worthless without him. While I was thinking about all of this, Charlie sat in the kitchen drinking his coffee. I could tell he had something on his mind. He came through the house and sat down next to me on the couch. He tickled Leia and she laughed. Good morning. Hi, Daddy. Me watching Cookie Monster, she said in her sweet little voice. Yes, he replied. We played with Leia and engaged with her while she watched television. There was an awkward silence between us. I was trying to pretend I was happy, but I wasn't. And it was hard for me to hide my emotions. Are you going to call your boss and let him know you're not coming into work today? No. You know you can't lose that job, Charlie. No, I don't have to call him. He's never around anyways. And I work alone, so he probably won't even notice I didn't come in today. But what if he does, Charlie? Then I will call him and tell him I was sick. I didn't have a phone to call him. It'll be fine, Angel, he replied harshly. Disappointment set in. It aggravated me. I couldn't stand being with him. I wanted to just grab my things and leave. I sat quietly thinking and focusing on Leia. I played with Leia for a while, then fed her lunch and put her down for a nap. Afterwards, I decided to get up, cleaned up, and start preparing for work to give myself something to do. I resolved I would have to wait until tomorrow. When he went back to work to make my escape, I was sad and disappointed, but I had no other choice. Charlie followed me into the bathroom. What are you thinking, Angel? I know you're up to something. I just looked at him. I was afraid to say anything. I knew whatever I'd said would be wrong. A flood of emotions was running through me, and I wanted to just scream. Tell me what you're thinking, Angel. Tell me right now. What are you cooking up inside your little head? Nothing, Charlie. I tried to push past him to get away, but he pushed me up against the wall and was up in my face. It felt like the day he had me pent up against the wall beside the toilet when he pulled that shotgun on me and I started to shake. Stop, Charlie, I mean it. What are you going to do? Hit me back? Why are you doing this, Charlie? Why? I started to cry. You are up to something and I know it, he shouted so loudly at me, startling me. I trembled and shoved him, and he nearly fell into the tub, and it gave me enough room to run out. He came after me and grabbed my arm. What the fuck did you do that for? Charlie, you're scaring me. Stop, please. You promised you wouldn't do this anymore. I struggled to get out of his grasp and began to run to find my purse and keys. I need to get out of here before he hurts me again. He grabbed my purse and slung it out of my hands. Then he hit me so hard it knocked me onto the hardwood floor in the dining room, which was vacant except for a small toy box that sat in the corner. He smacked me in my face and then grabbed me by the hair and slammed my head against the floor, banging it into the hard surface again and again. I was afraid he was going to break my skull. He was so enraged, and I was afraid he had lost all control. I didn't feel safe. I was swinging my arms and pushing him back, trying to get him off so I could get away from him. Please stop, Charlie, please, I cried, but he wouldn't listen. Charlie, stop. It was as if he was in a trance or out of his mind. He didn't drink or use drugs. He just needed power and control over me. And when he felt like he was losing it, he came undone and would go crazy to get control back over me. It made him feel powerful. I could taste the blood running from my nose and lip. My head was pounding and I could feel my face beginning to swell. He was on top of me yelling, "You bitch, what are you going to do now?" The coldness of the hardwood floor where my head rested brought comfort. He yelled and called me names. I lay there thinking about how I could ever get out of this mess and be free. The thought of being stuck here in this prison brought panic and anger. I can't do this anymore. Am I going to be able to escape this time? I have lived in this prison for years, and I just want out. I left and survived. Why in the hell did I ever come back? Why did I believe his lies that the things would be different this time? I wanted to believe him. I wanted things to be better. I wanted the fairy tale I had dreamed about. But this was a nightmare. This is never going to change because I had left him. He punishes me every chance he can. He will never let me forget the pain I caused him. I knew if I didn't figure it out soon, one of us would end up hurt or maybe even dead. Many times, out of desperation and having no way out, I wished he was dead. I worried that it was the only way I was going to get out of the situation, and it scared the shit out of me. He continued to shout at me and was knocking me around and slapping me across my face to make sure he had my attention. I shouted, Please, Charlie, stop this. I could hear the door to Leah's room squeak as she opened it and ran from her bedroom, awakening from her nap by the rumble of his voice and the screech of the scream that came reactively from my lips. Her blankie wrapped in her arms and snuggled up to her body for comfort. Her blonde hair lay in curls and bounced as she approached me and began to plead. Please, Daddy, don't hit Mommy. Why are you hurting Mommy? She ran and lay down beside me and gently rubbed her tiny hands across my face to wipe the tears that fell from my cheek. It broke my heart for her to see this. I wanted so badly to jump up and take Leah out and run out the door and leave and never look back. I stopped fighting him as I pulled Leah into my chest. He looked at her and stopped hitting me. He got up and started pacing, rummaging through the house, throwing my stuff everywhere, kicking it across the floor, shouting and calling me names. I didn't get up to try to stop him this time. I didn't care anymore. I was so sick of this. None of these things meant anything to me. I was just empty, numb, and tired of fighting. I just won out. I cringed as he walked closer to my body, curled up in a fetal position, lying still on the floor, holding Leah, and thinking of how I could get out of here. I could see a spider crawling across the floor, making its way to its well spun web, oblivious to the fear I had felt and the pain I was in. I wanted to flinch, but I kept still. I didn't dare move in fear of him hitting me again. But just as that thought left, he kicked me. He kicked me in the back with his boot. Instantly, my body coiled up in reaction to the pain, and I couldn't control the movement that naturally occurred as my body tried to protect itself. Get the fuck up, Angel, and get this fucking house cleaned up. I screeched out in pain and pulled Leah closer to my chest. I have to get out of here. If I don't go now, I may never get out. I gained enough strength to pull myself from the floor. I knew if I didn't leave now, he was going to kill me. If not today, someday. And someday soon. I began picking up my things and straightening back up the house from his tirade as he demanded. I noticed my purse and keys were lying on the floor near the door, where he knocked it out of my hand. Just as he went into the kitchen and I was several feet away from him, I grabbed Leah and my purse and ran for the door, stumbling down the stairs of our two flat, running with Leah in my arms as fast as I could. Immediately, he came running after me, grabbing my arm. The final few steps of the bottom of the stairs, I pushed him backward as I went out the door and got a few steps ahead of him. I ran out and got in the car. My hands were trembling as I fumbled with the keys, rushing, trying to get into the ignition before he got to me. Leah was crying. It's okay, baby. We're going for a ride. Just as I got to the car, just as I got the car started, he ran for the passenger side and found the door unlocked and jumped inside. My heart sank. He began trying to grab for the keys, but I put it in the car in drive and drove off with him in it. If I can just get somewhere in public, he won't hurt me in front of other people, or at least they can help me. I didn't know where I was going. I thought quickly, I can take him to Mom's. She's only a few miles away, and I can drop him off, and she can calm him down, and I can leave. She would tell him to stop acting this way. He slammed his fist into the dashboard and was shoving me all while I was driving, trying to get me to pull over. I feared he was going to wreck us, but I was more afraid of stopping. Charlie, please stop. You're going to wreck us. You need to pull over right now, Angel, he shouted. I was so scared. My foot was shaking so bad. I could barely keep it on the gas pedal. I drove as fast as I could to get to his mother's, even hoping I would get pulled over by the police so they could see they made a mistake not pursuing the complaint I had made just the day before. But the police weren't coming to rescue me. I finally got to his mother's house. I jumped out of the car, leaving Leah behind. Blood, snot, and tears were running down my face, and I was hysterical. I banged on the door as hard as I could. Daddy ran out. What in the hell is going on? Charlie has gone crazy and he won't calm down. Please help me. She shook her head. Now I'm sick and tired of all this going on. Y'all need to get it together. I don't know about the two of you. Why can't you stop fighting and why can't you stop all this foolishness and figure this out for the baby? Charlie was her baby and she was always sided with him. Charlie ran up to the porch with Leah in his arms, blaming me. It's her mom. She's trying to leave and take the baby. I'm not going to let her do it again. He began screaming in my face. Leah was crying and reaching for me, and I tried to get her out of his arms. She was scared and I wanted to comfort her, but he kept pushing and shoving me away. I just wanted to get her out of his arms and leave. I was done with all this. I just wanted out. At some point, while we were arguing, Dottie went back into the house. Then suddenly, Mitch rushed out on the porch with a double barrel shotgun. The same gun that weeks before Charlie had pulled on me. He pointed the gun at me. Get the hell off my porch, he shouted. I was in shock. My mind raced. I wanted so bad to grab Leah from Charlie's arms, but I knew if I did, he would shoot me. I ran off the porch screaming for my life, and Mitch continued to chase me with the gun. I ran as fast as I could to get into my car. Trembling, I knew any second he was going to pull that trigger, and I would be dead. I somehow managed to get the key into the ignition and got the car started as Mitch was staring me down while I pulled away, leaving my baby girl crying for me in Charlie's arms. I felt like I was in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. This can't be happening, I thought as I drove as fast as I could to get to their street. I didn't know where to go or what to do. I was a nervous wreck and I'm in shock over everything that had happened this morning. I knew going to the police was a waste of time. I drove in a trance trying to get my thoughts together and figure out what to do. I don't have anywhere to go. I sobbed in devastation, rose up within me. My poor baby girl. Oh, I should have just stayed quiet. I shouldn't have ran out the house. All this wouldn't have happened. I blamed myself just as Charlie did, adding insult to my injuries. What am I going to do? I have nothing. I don't even have my work uniform. I have no money, no friends, and nowhere to turn. I burned all my bridges. My mind raced as I drove aimlessly further down from Dottie and Mitch's house, trying to calm myself down, but I just couldn't. I remembered school. Yes, I can go to the teen parent program. They will help me. They will help me for sure. An ounce of hope came through with tears as I drove down the I-75 South to school. That's a long chapter. Chapter 16 is long. We're on chapter 17. Chapter 17. Let's continue. Let's continue with chapter 17. Chapter 17. I don't remember after getting onto I-95. My mind was off in another world, trying to gain some insight about everything that had happened over the past several hours, but not being able to put the puzzle together. I was shaken when I pulled into the school parking lot and parked. I ran right into Diane's office, crying so hysterically I startled her. She jumped from her desk and guided me to a chair. I began to hyperventilate, trying to tell her what had happened. Slow down, honey. Slow down. I was in full crisis. I couldn't slow down. I couldn't breathe, but I wanted so bad to tell her what had happened. Within a minute, there was a whole team of people surrounding me, trying to help me calm down. The school nurse, Judy, came over to me. You are hyperventilating, Angel. I'm going to have to give you a paper bag to put over your nose and mouth. Just breathe slowly, and this will help you catch your breath. I did as she instructed, breathing as my mind raced. I was terrified, in shock, and complete emotional mess. I felt like I was going to pass out. I felt supported having all these people around me attending to me, the kind of support from others I had never felt before. I took comfort in knowing at this moment at least I was safe. It took a while for me to settle enough to tell them what had happened, with Charlie beating me up and me running out of the house with only my life, and all the things that had happened afterwards, ending with Mitch chasing me off the porch with a gun. They were all in shock hearing my story. Oh my God, that's awful, Angel. We need to call the police and tell them what happened, Diane said. Don't bother. They won't help. I went to the police yesterday to file charges against Charlie when all this started, and they pretty much laughed at me and told me there was nothing they could do. Diane shot a questioning look at me and shook her head. Sherry, do you think legal aid can help? Sherry was the legal advocate at the school. Yes, let's call and see if we can get you an attorney and get things rolling so you can get custody of Leah right away. Are you feeling up to making that call right now? Yes. If I could just have a few minutes, I need to smoke a cigarette and get something to drink. And I will come back and we can call then. As I stood up, Diana hugged me. You have been through a lot, girl. Go take care of yourself and come back. And Sherry will help you get Leah back. I stayed engaged in her hug for a long while. I didn't want to let go. I felt so alone, rejected, worthless, and unloved. I needed to feel someone in this world cared about me. It felt so good to hear her strong, nurturing hug. I cried as she held me, and she was in no hurry to let me go. You're going to be okay, honey. I'm sorry you have been through so much, she said. Thank you. When I arrived at the smoking lounge, I pulled a cigarette from my purse and lit it. Feeling the relief from the nicotine, I plopped onto the couch and stared out the window. I sat there, still coming down from the adrenaline and chaos, still in shock from the near death experience, and the fear penetrated me from the day's events. I began to sob in tears of terror, sadness, and disbelief. I still couldn't believe what had happened. It just didn't seem real. I would never dream Mitch would pull a gun on me. I don't even understand what happened to make him do something so extreme. I know things with me and Charlie were at their worst, but I could not comprehend why he pulled a gun on me. Perhaps this is had to happen for me to finally recognize that this relationship had to end, and there was no going back this time. I thought about Leah and how she was screaming for me as I ran off the porch, leaving her in that craziness. I cried and felt terrible about all she had witnessed through the hell of this crazy relationship. I lit another cigarette and shook off those thoughts. I have to get myself together and figure some things out. I'm lucky I got out with my life. I may not have much else, but at least I have that. When I turned to the office, Marianne, the school social worker, Sherry, and Diana were waiting in her office for me. Where are you going to stay tonight? Diana asked. I don't know. I haven't thought any further than that right now. I didn't have anywhere to go. I burned a lot of my bridges going back to Charlie, especially with Mom. Well, work with Sherry on getting an attorney, and Marianne and I will work on seeing what options there are for you for a place for you to stay. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Sherry gave me the number and I called legal aid and made the first available appointment, which was in a few days. I was scared thinking about getting the courts involved. I was afraid they'd take Leah from me and give her to Charlie because he was almost 20 and was in a more stable situation than I was. I told Sherry about my fear before I called, and she assured me the courts tended to favor the child being with their mother, especially since Leah had been in my care since her birth and in light of everything that had happened. I spoke with legal aid clerk and she gave me hope but said she couldn't give me any legal advice. She did say she was going to take a couple of days to get the court date and I could speak to my attorney about when I could meet with him. My heart sank when I heard this. A couple of weeks. Leah had never been away for more than a couple of days since with Dottie and Mitch. I felt so sad. I hung up the phone. What is your situation, Angel? Sherry asked. Involved in my life much, and I would like that, Sherry. All right, I will work on the paperwork and get it back to you tomorrow. Thank you so much. In the meantime, hang in there. You're going to get through this. You have been through more than most adults, and you are very mature for your age. I admire your strength, she smiled. Wow, I've never heard an adult say such positive things about me in my life. Do you think so? Oh my goodness, Angel. You are an incredible young woman. Yes, I absolutely mean everything I just said. You are a fighter and a survivor, and you're going to be okay. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. It means a lot. You are welcome, honey. When I get back to Diana's office, she and Marianne were waiting for me. Well, Angel, I have some hopeful news, but we must work out some details, and it's going to take a couple of weeks. There are a new group home for teen mothers nearby, and it is for emancipated minors. And minimal age limit is 17. But I'm going to work with the board of directors, which I am a part of, and tell them your story and see what I can do to get you in there. Wow, what is it like? It's a nice place with an old store that has been converted into a group home with a large living and dining room and kitchen, two bathrooms, a play area and meeting room, and six bedrooms. There is room for six girls, and we have one room available. You would have your own room and a twin bed and a crib or a twin bed for Leah. It would be a great opportunity for you. Can I keep my job? I want to keep working. Well, none of the other girls work, but I think having a job is a positive thing, and I don't want to take anything away from you. We would rather you focus on school, but I'm sure we can work with you. You are required to go to school, and there are household chores and duties that you share with other housemates. Are you an emancipated minor? No, Sherry, I just talked about that. I'm not, but she's going to get the paperwork to me tomorrow, and I will do what I can to get it taken care of right away. Great. Well, Marianne and I will work on seeing what we can do to get you into this program. Where are you going to stay tonight? I don't know. Let me call mom. Maybe she would let me stay with her at her place until I get into this program, but I don't know. I also need to call work. I'm supposed to be there in an hour, but there is no way I can get myself together to go in. Yes, you have been through a lot today. You can use the phone in the front office to make whatever calls you need. Let me know if you have a place to stay tonight. Okay, I sure will. The janitor pushed a mop across the floor of an empty